We are going to have so much fun today. We're going to be hanging out with some really sweet friends of mine to bring y'all some wonderful spring crafts. Welcome back to my channel. I am Alecia and this is Alecia at Home. If you are visiting for the first time, welcome. It is so nice to meet you. And if you are returning, welcome back. It's good to see you again. Today, we are doing something so exciting. I have a couple of friends that are going to be joining me today, and we are just going to whip up some super fun spring crafts for y'all. I'm super excited about all the projects that we have going today, so I hope you guys enjoy. Grab your favorite beverage, sit back, and get ready. It's gonna be fun. This first project is going to be a fun, whimsical little sign of sorts. I guess you could call it a sign. It's not going to have any lettering on it, but we're just going to create some, like a backdrop with the 3 pieces of wood here that Michael connected for me together in the back. And then I cut out some little triangles that we're later going to use as carrots. So the first thing I'm going to do to prep our backdrop is paint the entire surface with some black chalk paint. And while our chalk paint is drying on that backdrop, we're going to go ahead and cover our little triangles here with some jute. And I did stain this one because I thought you might see the wood through the jute, but I wrapped it tight enough that I did not see any of the wood through. So I went ahead and decided not to stain the other one just to save myself a little extra work. So I'm just going to wrap this entire thing. I do use some hot glue every now and then to just secure everything into place. And I'm just going to repeat this step on our other little triangle, and this is what they look like all finished. Now we are going to have some fun here. We are going to be using some crackle medium on our little backdrop here, and I'm just going to go ahead and squirt this on pretty liberally, and when you spread it, you want to make sure that you just spread in one even motion. You do not want to go back and forth with this, because it does what's the word I want to look for? It does kind of decrease the value, I guess. So we're going to let that crackle dry really well, and while that's drying, I am going to go over our little jute carrots here with just a little bit of paint. It's kind of a rusty orange color that I created by just adding some pure orange with some burnt sienna and created this rusty orange. So I just wanted them to have a little bit more dimension, I guess you could say. All right, now this is so exciting to me. I love this process. So we're going to go over the top of our backdrop here with some white paint. And again, you do not want to go in back and forth motions with this. You just want to go one sweeping long motion over this, and then we'll let it sit for a few minutes and you will see what happens. I love the magic of this crackle medium. It is so cool. I love this just weathered, aged look that it gives our backdrop. Okay, so now we're going to add some little carrot toppers to our carrots, and I am just using some rosemary sprigs that I found on Amazon, and I will have those linked for y'all in the description box. So I'm going to poke those through the jute in the back, and then I do hot glue them in place. Then I'm also going to just hot glue our little carrots to our backdrop. And then we will do some further embellishing after our hot glue has had a little time to set up. I really like how our carrots are looking so far, but I just felt like they needed an extra little something something. So I tied these cute little bows with some thin jute here, and I'm just going to hot glue them to the tops of each of our carrots. And I do kind of glue down just in a few places the little curly Q part too, just so my little curly ribbon doesn't lose its shape. I'm also going to paint these cute little wood cutout rabbits that I found at Dollar Tree. Y'all, Dollar Tree had some great spring wood cutouts this year. I was so impressed. And I'll just hot glue them to the top of our little bow, and I think we'll go ahead and call the embellishing on these done. I think it looks really sweet. Okay, so I want to create a handle for the top of this, and I'm going to create it with some wire and some beads. And y'all, here is a great hack for easily painting your beads. I'm going to just dump them all in a jar. Then I'm going to add some paint that I've thinned down with water. You don't want to thin it too much, but you also don't want it thick. Then you're going to give your jar a really good shaking, and voila, look at that. All of our beads are painted. I love this little hack. So I'll dump them all out onto this piece of paper here to let them dry, and I do spread them all out so that they can dry very thoroughly. To create the handle or hanger on this, I am going to just use some, I believe this is 16 gauge wire. It's a pretty sturdy wire, and I'm going to first poke it through the back of one side, and then I'm just going to kind of twist it around a pencil a little bit to kind of give it a little curly Q, but then I'm going to smush that curly Q together, and that is what's going to keep our wire from pulling through our hole. Then I will begin to string our beads onto these, and I'm starting with a larger bead, and then I do a smaller bead, and I just continue this pattern until my wire is completely filled up. Once I have all of the beads strung onto our wire, I'm going to go ahead and push this through our boards from the back to the front, wrap it around the pencil to create that little curly Q, and then I will smush that curly Q very tight against our boards, and this prevents our handle from pulling through. And I'm really liking this handle. I like that heavy gauge wire because it just gives our handle a lot of strength, and it holds its shape really well. This next project is going to be a quick and easy project. It worked up in less than an hour for me, so I really like these fun projects that are just so quick and easy, because then you just get that instant results and instant gratification, if you will. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and paint this piece of wood. I just pulled this from our scrap pile in the shop and cut it to just the size that I wanted, and then I created these small blocks because we're going to make like a scroll of sorts with this. So I'm just painting all of them with some black stain that I created by using some black chalk paint, and I just watered it down a little bit to create this stain color. Kind of just gives it that stained effect. Next we're going to do the reverse stencil method with this, and so I cut this cute little bunny stencil out on my silhouette cutter. And normally here I would use transfer tape to apply this to my surface. However, because he was so big, I thought I would go ahead and be brave and just brave it without the transfer tape, and it did work okay. I did tear the ear a little bit, but all is well in the end. So once I have the little bunny down on our surface here, we're going to go ahead and give this a second coat of our stain color, and this really is an important step because this is what helps prevent getting bleed through on our stencil when we go to apply our top coat. And after I let this our stain color dry very, very well, I'm going to go ahead and go over this with my top coat, and I am using white here, but you could use any color of your choosing. And I do this pretty liberally because I don't want to get any bleed through. And then I will let this top coat dry thoroughly, and once that's dry, we can go ahead and lift up our stencil, And voila, we will have a really cute little bunny underneath. And I like how this just kind of gave our bunny just kind of that rustic stained look. I really like this effect. This is one of my favorite stencil methods to use. So after I get the vinyl all peeled up, I am going to kind of do a little bit of sanding on this just to give it a little bit of distressing, just a slight bit. So I go over the bunny a little bit and then I kind of distress all of the edges as well. Now that we have all of our distressing finished, I'm going to go ahead and attach the top and bottom boards to this, and I am just using some Gorilla Hot Glue to do this. This is a pretty strong glue, so I feel confident that it will hold these boards just fine, but if you would prefer, you could always use some wood glue to do this rather than the hot glue. We can't leave our little bunny naked, so we're going to give him a fluffy little tail just by using this pom-pom, and I found these pom-poms at Dollar Tree. These are great pom-poms. They're really well made for a Dollar Tree product. I was a little impressed with these. So then we'll just give this a handle by attaching some jute to this, and I will string it through from the back to the front, and then I will tie some big knots in them to hold our handle securely into place, and we can call this project finished. I've teamed up with two incredibly sweet and very talented gals today. Linda from Faith Chick 777 and Emily with Farm Charm Chick. I encourage y'all to go visit them over on their channels. I will have the link in the description box below, and there will also be a playlist for y'all to check out of all three of our content today. I encourage you to stop by and see them. You won't be disappointed. These ladies inspire me all the time with their creativity. So head on over to their channels, tell them I sent you, and say hello. So this is going to be another one of those really quick and easy projects. I wanted some really thick bunnies that I could use to display with my spring decor this season. And so I asked Michael if he would cut these out for me. And of course he said yes, because he's a sweetheart like that. He cut these out on 2-inch thick wood for me. So they are very sturdy and they freestand. So they stand on their own very well. And as I set about staining these, I had intended for these to turn out black, but because of the nature of this wood, they actually were coming out more of a brown color. And I am using a black stain here that I created with some black chalk paint that I watered down. But as I said, because of this wood color, they sort of started to turn out a little bit brown, which was okay. I decided I really liked the color in the end. It was kind of one of those happy accidents, I guess. But I do decide at the end that I really, really like how they turned out, and I just like how they kind of have that nature-inspired color to them, and they look very rustic and, you know, just that woodland. They kind of have that woodland feel to them. So I'm just going to go ahead and stain all three of these darling little bunnies, and then just like that, this project will be all done. take a little short break from woodcraft and create a sewing project. I thought this one would be a lot of fun. I thought it'd be fun to just create a bunny pillow to go with my spring decor. So I created this pattern, and I will have this available for y'all as a free printable. The link to this will be down in my description box. And you will have to print this on 4 sheets of paper and then kind of piece them all together. That's kind of what I had to do here. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this pattern down to my fabric, and you do need to cut 2 of these. So I just went ahead and doubled my fabric. And the fabric that I am using here is actually an old linen sheet. I thought this would just be a perfect natural looking, give us a natural looking bunny. So this was the perfect fabric, and this sheet had a hole in it. So I thought, let's just recycle this, repurpose this. What better way to use an old sheet, right? After I got this cute little bunny all cut out, I did take him over to the iron and press it really well because he was quite wrinkled. So we're also going to cut out this heart, and I will also have that included in the pattern for y'all. You can find the link in my description box. And we only need to cut 1 of these, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this heart out, and I'm cutting it from the same fabric. All right, now that we have all of our pieces cut out, I'm going to go ahead and sew this heart onto just the top layer of my bunny. So you don't want to sew them together. You don't want to sew this heart to both pieces of the bunny. That's what I'm trying to say. I hope that made sense. So I've just gone ahead and sewn this to the top piece of my bunny. And then I'm going to take my seam ripper here and kind of start fraying some of the threads so that I can kind of fray the edges on this and just give it that cute frayed look. So now we'll go ahead and take our bunny to the sewing machine. I've gone ahead and clipped him all together, and you do want to leave an opening on the bottom of this so that we can stuff him later, which is why I had those 2 green clips so I would know where to stop on my sewing so that we can have an opening so that we can stuff him in a few minutes. I did forget to mention also that I am sewing this little bunny with raw edges, so I did not turn right sides together. I have right sides out so that we can actually see the fringed edge on this when I have finished sewing it, like you can see here. And now we've got our little heart, which creates a pocket, and we're going to do something cute with that in just a few minutes. Well, actually, we're going to do that right now. So I've created this little carrot pattern, and this will also be available for y'all. And we are going to cut 3 of these little carrots because we're going to fill his little heart pocket with the carrots. So when you go to cut the carrot patterns out, you want to make sure that you are cutting this on the fold of your fabric. So you can see up there on the left edge, that is actually the fold. That way we can have an opening at the top of our carrot so that we can stuff it later. If you don't sew it on the fold, then you have to sew around all the edges, where this way you only have to sew down one side of the carrot. All right, so I have all 3 of our carrots sewn together, and I'm going to take this cute little, these are clickable stamps, and I found these on Amazon, and I will have the link for y'all in the description box if you are interested in these. These are great little stamps. I just love them. So I'm just going to take this little stamp, and I'm going to stamp the word carrot on each of our little carrots. I just thought this would add a little something to it and just kind of give it that cute farmhouse charm. Now we will go ahead and stuff our bunny, and I do stuff him pretty full because I kind of want this bunny to be firm. I don't want it to be real floppy, so I stuff him pretty full. Now that we have our bunny completely stuffed, I'm going to go ahead and just hot glue that opening closed. This works really great, especially when we have raw edges like I did with this particular bunny. So I just went ahead and used the hot glue because it's fast and easy, and sometimes it's really hard to run this back through the sewing machine after it's been completely stuffed. So now we have him all finished. Our little bunny is done, so let's go work on our carrots. So I have got this carrot stuffed, and then I'm going to take a couple of those rosemary sprigs and just stick in the top of it to give our carrot, a little carrot top. And I do this with all 3 of the carrots. Okay, so I think these carrots are just darling. They might be my favorite part of this entire project. All right, let's give our little bunny a poofy tail. I'm just using one of those pom-poms that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm gonna hot glue that onto our bunny. Then I decided that our carrots needed just a little extra something on the top, so I'm gonna go ahead and tie some cute little bows at the top of each of these carrots to kind of cinch them closed. Even though they've been hot glued, I decided it would look really cute to just have that jute bow at the top of each one of them. And I am just using jute here. I think I just said that. But I'm just gonna use jute to tie a little bow around each one of our carrots. These are just way too cute. I love the little carrots. All right, let's go ahead and put them in the little pocket of our bunny. This is just so cute, y'all. I'm really, really liking this project. It's funny, when I first got him sewn together, I was like, oh my gosh, it looks like a dachshund dog, one of those like wiener dogs. But then after I started, embellishing him, he started looking more and more like a rabbit. So we'll go ahead and put a little bow on his ears, and then this cute little rabbit is all done. Are y'all ready to do a little science experiment? For this project, I'm going to try something that I have never, ever, ever done. So I am trying this for the very first time with y'all. I'm going to go ahead and attempt to make some epoxy molds. So I'm using some epoxy, and I will have the kit that I used linked in the description box for y'all if you are interested in this specific one. And you just mix it equal parts. So one part of the A and 1 part of the B, so it's equal parts. And I did a 1/4 cup of each one because I wanted to create quite a few molds. And then you stir it for about 30 seconds, and then you can go ahead and fill your molds. And I will tell you that I overfilled some of my molds a little bit, but I realized that it was okay because I was able to cut it off and it worked out okay. So this is what it looks like after 5 minutes. And then after 10 minutes, it was completely set up. So I was so excited at how fast this set up. So I'm going to release them from the molds, and y'all, look at these. Aren't they so cute? Look at all the detail in this carrot. I just love it. So when I demolded this one, you can see here where I overfilled it and it left all this weird stuff on the edge. However, because it was so thin, it didn't actually harden like the rest of the mold did. So I was able to cut it off. But I would really recommend that you try not to overflow your molds. But for my first attempt, these came out pretty good. I really love these rabbits. These are so cool. And look at those flowers up there. The detail is incredible to me. And I found all of these molds on Amazon, and I will also link those in the description box for y'all. So are y'all wondering what we're going to do with these molds? We are going to create some little dice. So I'm just using some scrap wood. We have a lot of scrap wood in our shop, and I like to just go out and pick up some of the scrap pieces and see what I can create with them. And in this case, I picked up this 4x4 post, and I was like, oh, we can make some cute little dice with this. So we're going to make some like Easter dice, I guess you could call them. So I'm using some wood glue to glue these two our little wood blocks here. And the wood glue worked really, really, really well. I would not recommend hot glue. I did try hot glue with the flower in the center at first, and it just peeled right back up. It didn't work at all. So I would use a really good glue like the Gorilla wood glue, or you can use E6000 glue. I'm sure would probably work really well too. So I let the glue set up on these really well, and now I'm just going to go ahead and paint all of my dice with some white. And of course, again, you could paint these any color of your choosing. Now that I have all of the dice painted white, I did do 2 coats of paint on each and every one of these. So now that they're painted, I'm going to go ahead and just do some enhancing on our acrylic molds here. So I'm using a stippling brush, and I'm doing a dry brush method here. So I dip my brush into the paint and then wipe most of it off onto my paper towel before applying it to my surface. So I'm going to go ahead and go over most of this rabbit with the, I'm using Antiquing Wax by Waverly here for this little rabbit, by the way. And so I have stippled most of the paint on, and then I'm going to take like a wet wipe and wipe a lot of it off, and then that Antiquing Wax kind of just goes down on all those little grooves, those detail grooves, and just kind of creates this really cool 3-dimensional effect here. So I do this with the flower and the rabbit, and then with the carrots I choose to do some color. And so I created some of that rusty color that we used on our carrots for our cool little board that we made at the very beginning here. So I used that same rusty color on the carrot bottoms, and then I'm just using a green, and I don't remember what color green I used, but you could use any color green you want for the carrot tops. All right, so let's make our dice look just a little bit more rustic and found, a little more farmhousey, I guess you could call it. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that Antiquing Glaze by Waverly, and I'm doing the dry brush method again here, and I'm just going to go ahead and wipe it around all of the edges to kind of give the edges that distressed look. But then I'll also go ahead and just do a few strokes on the inside part of the dice as well, to just give that dice a little extra depth. I think it just adds some depth to it, and it definitely makes them look a little more old and aged. I'm really liking these dice, y'all. I think they came out fantastic, and they're going to be so fun to display with my spring decor. Alrighty friends, that is going to wrap up our projects for today. I hope y'all enjoyed this. I sure did. It was so much fun hanging out with my friends Linda and Emily. Don't forget to head on over to their channels. The link will be down below, and there will also be a playlist to follow so you can catch all of our content from today. I'm looking forward to seeing you all again next week. We are going to do some spring decorating. I have spring fever and I can hardly wait to get all my winter decor down and start spreading some splashes of spring all throughout the house. I still have snow everywhere around me and the weather is still a little bit cold, but that's okay. We're gonna bring some spring and cheer into the house anyway. So I look forward to seeing you guys all again next week. Until then, y'all take care and I will see you soon. Bye.